So this is Constant Pain, the pilot. Now, a lot of people ask, how do you get your reference images? You know, where did you find Revy T-posing? They don't, all right? You do not find anime models or game models. Sometimes you'll find game models, but you really won't find like the cinematic textured version of them T-posed. They don't ever show that, all right? T-pose is a very unnatural position. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to either make it or splice it. Those are two techniques that I use to create what I want. And for this kind of stuff, I usually use a mixture of splicing and drawing. So the first thing you will need is some modicum of 2D skill. When it comes to anime and 2D, I am very, very skilled at drawing it as well as texturing and modeling. So I'm able to draw from scratch if I need to. But I like to splice because it gives me really good proportions, which is really all I need for modeling. So let's take a look at a couple seconds of this pilot to see how I go about finding reference.
Okay, what should I wear today? Hey, that's not bad.
Okay. So let's go back in time a little bit, and let's find right when she's about to put it on, and I'll show you. Okay, so QuickTime has a really cool thing. In QuickTime, if you use the arrow keys, the left and right arrow keys will go back in time a frame. So you can go frame by frame to check animation, or to browse for sequences for this. Now, notice that this is about as good as you get. Constant Pain always draws her from a 3/4 angle. Whenever they have a close-up, it's always 3/4. They never give you a really nice, clean, straight, erect, stance with an arm out. They never do that. This is a straight arm for you, and this is kind of a straight leg, but the hips are turned. And this is really the best they give you. And this is what I ended up using to create my T-pose. Okay, but notice that this is not lined up. This center here is not centered here, okay? This goes down here, and it goes in over here, and it's supposed to be here. So the hips are over here, it's kind of leaned and cocked, and this is the best they give you, okay? This is down, it's not teed out. So I basically took this, and I hit print screen. And when you hit print screen, it's going to grab this entire screen, similar to the screen capture, and then it's going to allow me to paste that directly into Photoshop. So I will show how that would be done. This is how I created that effect. Okay, so you go here, you go to the polygon lasso tool, and you select a chunk of the image. This is splicing, photo splicing. This is a photo editing skill. I'm going to hit Control T. I'm going to move this pivot up to the shoulder, and this is not exact. It doesn't have to be. It's just a general, concept. But you can see now that we know it's exact because it's the exact same image. There you go. So let's go back in time, and that just the way that I got her T-pose is the way I set this up. Now, what is this crazy conflagration here? This is like insanely spliced, but I have to show you why and how I did that. Okay, well, that image came from here. You do not get a standing side profile view at all in this whole thing. So what you end up having to do is go into this and extract out her torso and hit Control T, and then grab this over here and then rotate it up to try to create that sort of erect, stance that doesn't really exist. And as you can see, then you would draw the legs down, and hopefully, okay. So that's what I ended up doing. That's Revy. That's the full version. This is what I do. Okay, you make a new layer, and I like to do it in red. You can do it in black if you want. Okay, make sure you're on either 1 or 2. I'm going to use 2. Okay, and then what you do is you zoom in, and remember we're on a new layer, so there's nothing here. And I say, okay, where is the nose? And then I go horizontally. I hold down Shift and I drag all the way out, all the way across. Okay? And I do the same thing for the chin. Actually, that's off. Yeah. I need to zoom in a bit more so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And again, I mean, you know, I could clean this up if I wanted to, but there's really no need to. Okay. And then we say, okay, now, where's the bottom of the boobs going to be? So it's about right there. We'll position that there. Okay, this here is an important line to know about, so let's position that there. And let's go there. Good enough. That's fine. Okay. I want to know where this is going to end. I want to know where this begins. And I want to know where the floor is. So we'll say the floor is like right there. Alright, which is where the feet are going to need to touch down. Okay? And this is about where that's going to need to be. Okay. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and make one for where the top of the head is going to be. And again, these are not exact guidelines either. What this is going to ensure, though, now, is that I know that my head, when I draw it from the side view, needs to match within these lines here. And I'd like to match this nose up, if possible. And I'm just going to match my proportions up. Layer, merge layers. Actually, there's a better way of doing that. Undo. So we don't want to merge layers. All I want to do is I want to activate the opacity on all these at the same time. So I'm going to make a group, and I'm just going to drag everything into the group. So now notice that the opacity on the group is altered. Everything in the group goes low. So that'll work. Okay. So let's go into the sideline. Notice that we're still under our lines. Okay. And we can take those lines and say, well, that's starting to get a little annoying. I don't like how big they are. I can knock their opacity down. I just need to see where they are in general. Okay, so now I'll go to the sideline and I can draw with fair amount of confidence, just using this as a guide. So, let me see here. Layer 11 is our leg line. Let's go up one more. We'll call this the face line. And we'll go ahead and draw this in here while we're here. There you go. Alright, so let's turn off that terrible amalgamation. And let's turn off our center of gravity line. And now we have a lined up, Control S, model sheet. And it needs a little bit of work. It needs a little bit of tweaking. I'm going to go in and tweak it some. I'm going to make some fixes. And then I will be back and I will show you how to set this up in Maya so that everything lines up. The eyes need to line up a little bit better. But overall, most of this is going to line up, and we know it is because we did it based on our lines here. So I'll just use these lines as reference, fix some of this stuff, and then I'll go in and I will be ready to start modeling, and I will show you how to set up the image plane stuff in Maya. Okay, welcome to the Maya portion. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to go to View, Image Plane, under the front, Import Image, Desktop, and we're going to go to Kratos, Constant Pane, and we're going to go to Model Sheet. We saved out our PSD as a Targa and flattened it. Alright, so when we open this, we're going to use the same image for the front and the side view. Now notice that it's in front of the grid. We want it behind the grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this 60. Center Z is going to be negative 200. And then depending on what lines up, I know that 11.9 is going to line up pretty well, so that lines up there. And 15 should do good at center X. Let's take a look at it. And that's pretty good. Alright. Again, numerical values are not important, it just matters if it looks right. View, image plane, import image, same thing. Go to Kratos, constant model sheets, select this, and we're just going to put the same values in because it lines up, the same picture lines up. So all we have to do is make sure that our values are correct. So 60, center X is going to knock us back, so that's negative 200. Center Y is 11.9, center Z is 15. And isn't that nice how that lines up exactly the way we want? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and save our project. File, save scene as. We're going to go to Kratos, constant pane, go to scenes, and put in Amanda 4. Alright. And now we're going to go into our front view, and we should be lined up. So let's go ahead and create polygons, cube. Drag that straight up. Shading, X-ray. That way we can see it a little better. And we're going to go ahead and take the subdivision height, width, and depth under Inputs, Polycube 1. We're going to middle mouse out here and drag. And that's going to increase that to 2. Now we're going to go into face mode by hitting F11. We're going to select all these faces and we're going to delete them. We're going to go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and we're going to take this half object now, reset the settings, go to Insert, Instance, -1 in the X. This is X, Y, and Z, so -1 in the X, which means it's going to scale in the X. Apply. Close. Okay? So now what will happen is when I select this, that will follow automatically, which is what we want. So now let's go into our component mode, and let's just block out in general where we want to be. Alright, so let's position that there, and that's pretty good. Okay, and then we need to create a few edge loops. So we'll create one here, which is going to be the center, which is going to go all the way down the arm like that, and we'll create one here and one here, and that should be good. Okay, so let's just clean this up a bit, and there you go. So that looks pretty good in the front view. It looks terrible on the side because it's a box. So let's go to X-ray, and now we will match up from our side view. And we're just pulling points, getting it to match about the general area that we want it to. And that's pretty good. Okay. Let's hit F. Let's go to shading, wireframe unshaded. And let's select our edge loop. Pull that in a little bit. We're just rounding out the model a bit. This is the next phase. Deselect the center, because if we pull here, well, it'll work now, but if we turn reflection off, okay, and we pull here, notice that we're pulling away, and we don't want to do that because of the instant. So we deselect that, and that will allow us to maintain what we're trying to do. Okay? So let's select these And let's scale that in like that. Alright, which is pretty good and leaves us plenty of room for, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so that's pretty good there. Let's throw one more edge loop here, which should let us define our that a little better there. Okay. And then we will throw one more edge loop down the center here. And this is typically how I mold out my models. And again, it's simply a matter of rounding out your points to create a nicer effect. Okay. So what we're now defining is what's going to eventually be our arm. We're going to build our arm socket. Okay. And you notice how that's naturally starting to pull kind of like a lat muscle. So that kind of forms in like that, so we can pull that up if we need to. This is going to be the center line of our model, and this is usually how I texture, how I UV map. I'll take this line and this will be the seam. And okay, that's a pretty decent example there. So so you can kind of tell what I'm doing exactly. Show you. Okay. Open up our hole. And this will let us define a shoulder. And there you go. And it goes from there. And that is typically how I will build. Go to extrude, edit mesh, extrude. By the way, all these are a custom shelf that I did for modeling. And then it simply becomes a matter of taking the edges, playing with them. Extruding down until we get, actually, let's do it. Similar results. And you you can see that we're going to need to readjust this. But again, once again, you can see where the reference is once again coming into play. And again, that's just a really basic method of starting to sculpt out a pretty decent, nice topological method using your reference. So, okay. Alright, and the only thing missing, of course, is she has a much more bountiful chest, and we will need to sculpt that out. I don't even know. I don't know. We'll see. Later on down the line. But we're getting a nice, in general kind of shape going. And that's pretty good. So, okay. So that is basically my tutorial on setting up modeling with your reference planes. I hope that it was helpful. And if there are any questions, please feel free to post and let me know.